Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Halls of Horror. I'm your host, Horror and Hellfire, or Madam Hellfire, or whatever the fuck you want to call me, because I just don't give a fuck sometimes. I have many names. I am the Devil, Ave Satanus. And I am here today with my wonderful friend and co-host, Nox Archive. How you doing, Nox?
I'm pretty good, but I'm going to change my name to Sally.
Okay, Sally, why is that?
Because too many people know my name now.
Oh, God.
Joking. Nox is fine.
Nox is fine. But, oh, God, today, dude. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, I am not kidding when I put that disclaimer. But we'll get to that. I'll make the full disclaimer to cover our butts, our booty holes, like those weird charms they have for cats. Yes, they have a charm for cats. It's like a little like necklace bracelet thing that they put on the tail to cover the butthole, because cats are weird. Yeah, it's interesting. But we'll do that later. But we're gonna do a little bit of chatting and say hello to the chat and catch up, because it's been a month since Nox has been here.
I've been working.
We both have. We've been pulling some serious work. Also, thank you, Spectre, for becoming a true sleuth. I very much appreciate it. Or re-upping your membership, or what have you. It doesn't necessarily tell me. But first, we've got the small musky hog Mike. God fucking damn it, Mike. Spectre. We got Snoopy. We got Ex-Capitan, Battle Puppet, Attendo. Welcome, guys. Yeah, Mike. Japan has some nasty murders. This isn't Japan. This is actually, China. Funnily enough.
And I do have to thank Attendo for last night, because for, some interesting mysteries, he chose to ask me to cover a place called the Pilliga Scrub, or the Pilliga Forest. And he sent me a freaking video where the person's accent was so thick, I could not understand a word he was saying. So Otendo had to translate Australian for me.
Yeah, you were telling me about that, and I had to stop you for a second, because you pronounce a particular I guess cryptid in a very interesting way, and that would have gone very, very weird if it had gotten into a video and got posted.
The reason why I wasn't saying it like that is because that's how I heard it from one of the frickin' podcasts I was listening to. So I thought it was Yowie, but it's Yahweh.
Yeah.
And by the way, Spectre, trust me, those are famous last words.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Shit. Capitan.
Yeah, Sally will be taking a cut.
Capitan. Yeah,
Cappy?
Yeah, let's let that play out, and I'll play the thingy. Because yeah, it's not doing the thing. It's not doing the thing. It needs to do the thing.
Do the thing.
the... Oh, well, I'll do this anyways. Fuck it. We'll do it early. It's not playing the Dono sound, so I'm just gonna do this. Ripley! Yes, we're gonna play some of this after. Man. Game over, man! Game over! That's the thing. Okay. We did it. We did the thing. Thank you for the 100, Capitan. Yes, half of that will go to Nox. Per usual.
Well,
unless
Sally,
he tells me otherwise. Yeah, Sally, whatever. Unless he tells me otherwise.
Thank you, Capitan, for donating to my coffee fund.
Yes. But he said Yowie, and I'm like, you may want to verify that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, because there are quite a few people who will raise eyebrows hearing that.
Yeah, Otendo said Yowie.
There it is. We already played the sound thingy, so I'm not going to play it again. But there's the thing. For the thing, and then the other thing, and then the other thing, and all the things.
Otendo said that I first time I said it was right.
Oh God, you're gonna have to make a joke about that. You're gonna have to make a joke about that.
Well, I try to be serious for some interesting mysteries, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be doing that in the comments a lot. Like, freaking otakus who really love anime be like, "You talked about yaoi, he. Yes, I did."
You need to make a disclaimer.
Disclaimer: it is yaoi.
Yeah. Exactly, Capitan. Yeah, that. You're gonna have to do a disclaimer, even if you're trying to be serious.
Yeah.
Fair warning. Fair warning, guys. We're gonna make a lot of jokes during this stream. Mostly because we are uncomfortable. And it's nasty. And the only way to deal with feeling that gross is to joke about it. But please understand, we give full gravity to the situation we are going to talk about. This case is horrendous. The stuff that happened, we're going to go into in detail. And I will say this again when we get to that part.
Put this way, if the person who was murdered, I'm not going to give anything away, was actually survived instead of, died, she would have multiple bills of therapy. And she might not actually be the same.
No, I wouldn't say bills of therapy. I would say she would inexplicably and irreversibly be damaged for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And as you guys know, I don't pull punches. I do not sugarcoat the criminal activity that happens or the details, the nasty details of the cases that I talk about. I never sugarcoat them because I feel like it is disrespectful to the case and it is disrespectful to the victim and those involved. Except for, I don't care about being disrespectful to the perpetrators because fuck them.
Yeah, and I will say this, Hello Kitty, the most evil creation ever made.
Yep.
She has black, beady eyes, like a doll's eyes. Sorry, I just went into my Jaws theme thing. Sorry.
Oh, God, Capitan. Yeah, better Hello Kitty than Strawberry Shortcake, am I right? That way it ruined the sweet treat forever. Yeah, I like Strawberry Shortcake. Especially, completely off topic, especially when the first Captain America movie came out. It was like, I can't eat this shit anymore because I'm calorie counting and I'm trying to lose weight and be better, but they used to have an ice cream shake thing or sundae where it was like strawberry shortcake ice cream with actual shortcake in between the layers of ice cream and that with like strawberry syrup on it. Oh. The level
I can feel my diabetes coming.
God, that was so good. I used to get it all the time, but I can't eat that shit anymore. One, because lactose intolerant for the most part. And two, fatty fat. That's like 3 layers of 3 scoops of ice cream with like sugary syrup and shortcake in between. Just, bro. And
I haven't had strawberry shortcake in a long time.
God, that shit is so good. I want some now. God damn it.
Yeah, so am I.
God damn it. making me hungry. I'm
Thanks, Capitan.
hungry. But like I said, this is gonna be one of those deeper cases, and I've mentioned it. Like it's gross, but I mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna play Alien Isolation after this. I'm gonna take a short break after this stream is done, and then play Alien Isolation to kind of decompress because I'm gonna need it. Yeah. And also an update on. I know if you're my server, you'll see the update already, but I am working on the next movie review for 13 Ghosts per Capitan's request. I know he's gonna be really excited to see that. I'm working on getting the assets now that I've completed recording audio. So getting all that taken care of will take a couple more days, and then I'll start editing everything together, and I should have it done by the end of the month. So look forward to that. I haven't done a movie review since the Repo one.
Yeah, I remember the Repo one.
That was a hoot and a half. I needed a fucking break after that. That was so much work and so much stress. I still love it. I think it's perfection, but
I love how the 13 Ghosts in the DVD release, they actually went into the backstory of every one of the ghosts.
In the remake, yeah.
Sorry. I meant the remake, sorry.
The one that I'm reviewing that I hadn't seen before, the original, I don't think they go into detail about any of them besides one in the movie, and it was kind of meh. Or 3 of them, I guess. Technically, I think. But yeah, the Repo was a lot of fun. I had a great time with it. Anyways, we should rip the Band-Aid off, shall we?
Yes, and reveal the infected pus-covered wound underneath it.
Yes, the festering pus-covered wound that is this case. So this was initially one of yours that you had on the docket, right? And then you just didn't feel comfortable with how it was to put it on your channel.
Yeah, pretty much when it comes to what I do, I know you don't give a fuck about it and stuff, and I appreciate that. But with me, I try to make it less about the gory details of crime and more about the victims of crime. So if I can get away with talking about the worst parts of a crime, I'll try to. Because I don't want people's or victims to actually be remembered for that shit.
Yeah.
I want them to be remembered for the life that they had. And so when it came to this, I was like, shit, I can't do that because this woman got tortured.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
Sorry. Cancel me now. And so when I actually originally was going to do it, I was like, how am I going to do this? And then I just kind of took it off the docket because I had a feeling that I could not do it justice.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one, I mean, there isn't a whole lot about the victim either. And her past is not the most, it isn't the prettiest picture to paint.
No.
And the victim in this case is a woman named Fan Man-yi. She was born in 1975 and was abandoned at a very early age at Matawai Girls' Home when she was very, very young. So she didn't, as far as I was aware, she has no connection to her birth family or her parents whatsoever. Unfortunately, because this is in China, this particular girl's home had an age cap. And when she hit the age of 15, she was thrown out onto the streets. There are conflicting details about when she started doing drugs. There are some places that say she started doing it while she was in the girl's home, and there are some that she didn't, that she started doing it after she was kicked out and was homeless. In order to survive and to feed this habit, she would become a street prostitute, a lady of the night, if you will.
And just really quickly, this is Hong Kong too.
Yeah, it's Hong Kong.
And it's just before the British gave it back to the Chinese. what happens to her is after the British gave it back to the Chinese. Sorry for the spoiler.
Yeah. I don't even really get into that in this, but or my notes, but that's good context of what's going on. Hey Jacob, but she was forced to become a lady of the night, and she committed petty crimes in order to feed her habit and to survive. Eventually, she did transfer her expertise to the Empress Karaoke Nightclub, which is a brothel, at the age of 21. I think that was like 1995 is when that happened. Whilst working at this club, she met her husband, who was a client, in May 1996 by the name of Ng Chi-yun.
It's Ng Chi-young.
Ng Chi-yun?
Yep.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna butcher a lot of these names because I don't speak Chinese. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
I do not mean to offend.
I took a Asian history course, and the teacher was Chinese, so whenever I had a problem, he actually showed me how to pronounce Chinese names.
Okay.
So I'm trying not to be an asshole about it.
I'm trying not to be an asshole when I try to pronounce it correctly, but I'm a white woman. I'm a white woman, so I'm gonna fuck it up. It's just gonna happen. He was also an addict, and unfortunately was extremely abusive to her. Very physically abusive to her, which was documented through testimony of her neighbors. They would report being woken up by sounds of the couple's fights and their child screaming and crying from their apartment. So it was not a good home life for her. And it only gets worse, guys. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
She eventually started working at another brothel called Romance Villa in Kowloon.
Kowloon.
Yeah, I'm gonna attempt to pronounce them right. And at this particular brothel is where her life spiraled into the abyss. She met a 34-year-old socialite by the name of Chan Man Lok, another drug addict.
Yep, you got the name right.
Yeah, we're just gonna call him Chan. Even worse is that he is a drug lord, or was a drug lord, and a member of the Triads. The Triads is an organized crime syndicate that originated out of Hong Kong. And he would pay her to have long sex sessions and ice binges with him.
To explain the Triads a little bit easier, they are the equivalent of the Italian mafia, only not as cool.
And they're the equivalent of the Yakuza, basically.
And again, not as cool.
Yeah. But if you don't know what ice is, crystal meth. I don't know what she was addicted to prior to that, but this is what she was using with him.
I think I seen somewhere that she was addicted to heroin and cocaine.
Hard drugs,
don't
yeah.
quote me on that.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything specific on it, but yeah. She was into hard drugs, which is not good. But she did become pregnant in 1998 and gave birth to her child. I couldn't figure out if it was a boy or a girl. I'm just gonna say child.
It was a boy.
Son. I'm sorry, it's her son, who she gave birth to in November 1998. Once she found out she was pregnant, she tried to turn her life around. She tried to better her life. She quit drugs. She stopped doing sex work and became a hostess at the brothel she worked at instead of being a sex worker there. Like, she would... It's kind of... You could think of it the similar way as at a restaurant, where she's not cooking the food, but she's helping serve the food.
And showing people to their tables, technically.
Yes.
But in this case, bedroom.
Yes. That.
Imagine having that job.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And unfortunately, while she was trying to turn her life around, she made a mistake. A very fatal mistake with Chun that she would never actually lived to regret. She would die because of it. Sometime in 1999, early 1999, she attempted to steal Chan's wallet, which carried 4,000 Hong Kong dollars inside. She felt bad and terrified after doing what she did and attempted to give the wallet back. But instead, she was basically told that she would need to pay 20,000 Hong Kong dollars back in return out of her own earnings. And when things didn't go as quickly as they would like in getting their money back, Chan, he did a bad thing. He got a bad idea. A very bad, awful idea. Yes, that is a cringe reference because I'm having a hard time knowing what we're going to be getting into. He decided...
Warning, he's gonna get bad.
It's gonna get very bad. Trigger warning out the yin-yang. I'm going to get very detailed about the things that were done to this woman after this point. It's very graphic. It is very gross. It makes my stomach hurt thinking about it. And I've seen some shit and read some shit. I've seen and read some shit, and I discussed it over this.
It gave me really bad nightmares when I was originally looking at this, and that's why the other reason I was like, yeah, I can't do this. It's going to fuck up my mentality.
Yeah.
My mental state.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. And you'll see why I need to decompress with a video game stream after this. I need to get tilted so I can feel better.
Let's just say this whole entire, the next sequence of events makes Saw look like a kid's movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's pretty accurate. Because he was not getting paid as quickly as he would like, Chan enlisted a couple of his buddies from the Triad and henchmen of his, named, I'm trying to probably mess this up, Leung Xing Cho and Ling Xing Cho and Ling Wailun.
Yep.
Who he enlisted to abduct Fan on the 17th of March in 1999. They took her to Chan's apartment at number 31 Granville Road in Sim Sha Tsui.
Sim Sha Tsui.
Yeah, Sha Tsui. Yeah.
You were close.
I was close. I was getting there.
Really close.
But this was a 5-room apartment that was decorated with Hello Kitty merchandise. That's why it was called the Hello Kitty Murders, partially. They had kidnapped her as a plan to prostitute her out for themselves until she'd paid back her debt. But that wouldn't happen. She was there for about a month in total before she died. And the reasoning for that is the following. Once again, trigger warning. If you are faint of heart and you are squeamish, I would leave.
Get your emotional support pandas ready.
Yes, get your emotional support red pandas ready, because this is going to be a very gross and bumpy ride. Instead of prostituting her out to get their money back, which, knowing them, they would have just continued to raise the price of what she owed and kept her forever, they would get too high on ice and start taking out their anger on her. They would do so to the point that she could not perform sex work because she was so beat the F up. She was so destroyed. It would start with certain things like getting drinking straws, lighting them on fire, and letting the melted plastic drip onto her feet to create blisters and burns.
Yeah.
This would escalate to them just full-blown setting her feet on fire and beating them with sticks. And when they were done doing that, they would pour chili oil in the festering opened wounds.
Yeah, think of how sensitive your feet are on the bottom, and imagine this being happening to you.
Imagine stepping on 1,000 Legos and D4, four-sided dice.
And tax.
Yeah, it's like that. It would get worse. It would escalate over the month that they had her. They would throw oyster sauce in her face. They would force her to drink just straight oil. They would string her up and beat her with water pipes and metal bars. And then it would escalate further to where while they were beating her, they would make her laugh and smile and say that she liked it. Someone there, that we'll bring up in a second, would be quoted as saying the following. It was a game they played. If she didn't pretend to be happy, they would beat her harder. They told her to smile while they burnt her. It was a fun atmosphere.
Yeah.
The person associated with this is one of the main reasons why I was so disgusted, and we'll get into that in a second.
Let's just say that person is fucked in the head.
More than you think. It's gonna get more graphic, guys. I apologize. They would even go as far as to urinate on her face and make her drink it. And if she spat it out, they would beat her.
And I have to say this really quickly, and this is just my gallows humor, but Bear Grylls would be proud of her for that.
Yeah, that was out of taste. I'm gonna call you out on that one. That was not a good taste joke.
I'm sorry.
That was not a good taste joke, bro. Bad docs, bad.
I deserve a bonk.
Big ass fucking bonk.
I apologize.
Thank you. Yeah, no. Where's the shame bell? Things got to the point where and I think this, from what I read, this was the last thing that they did. And then I'll get into the person that's making these comments.
Yeah.
They wrapped electrical wires around her and hung her from the ceiling so they could take iron bars and strike her like she were a piñata. And then they left her overnight afterwards. This is the beating that I believe killed her, in my opinion. I'm not an expert. There's a reason why we can't confirm what exactly was the thing that killed her. We can only just speculate, unfortunately, and I'll get into why very shortly.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that you could just focus on and go, that's what killed her and that's what killed her.
Yeah.
But we really don't know.
Yeah. The person that it's quoted is the 13-year-old girlfriend of either Wailun or Chan. There are multiple different... One of the three men associated with this is a fucking nasty bastard and was into little kids.
Yeah, that's...
Multiple of them actually were. So... Not good men.
I just have to say that if you're 13 years old and you're hanging out with triads, you're fucked up in the head to begin with.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you're 13-year-olds and dating a triad, where the hell are your goddamn parents?
Yeah. This particular 13-year-old girl joined in initially, from what I understand, after she watched Chan kick Fawn in the head 50 plus times and then decided to join in kicking her in the head. She would burn and hit her with the three men. The worst thing that I read that she did was she defecated into a box and made Fawn eat it and pretend that she liked it. And she's quoted as saying she was broken and playing with her wasn't so much fun after that. But we carried on anyway. There wasn't anything else to do.
I'm not going to I'm not freaking defending this 13-year-old, but a lot of what she says and what she sounds like, she still sounds like a fucking kid.
Well, she's 13 and 14
Yeah.
when
It's
the other things happen. So
it just makes me think that don't fucking date 13-year-olds. I'm just gonna say that.
yeah. After the pinata incident, that's what I'm gonna call it because that's the easiest way to describe what was happening. She died. Fawn died of her injuries. Either the 15th of April or the 16th of April. This girlfriend woke up to find Fawn dead on the bathroom floor. And they just left her there for days until she started to stink. When she started to stink, and they wanted to get rid of her because she stunk. That's what decomposing bodies do, is they start to smell. They started to debate what they were going to do with the body. They did start initially talking about this, but eventually got bored and decided to go to a nearby arcade to play video games all day. And once they came back, girlfriend quotes as saying, "Then we came back and fell asleep." With the body still in the bathroom floor, where
Which
they
is
left
a highly big disregard for human life.
Yep. Big time. The next morning after this, they woke up and Chan finally said, "Now she must be destroyed." So the three men spent 10 hours dismembering Fawn's body in her bathtub with a saw. Chan started off by cutting her head off, and the other two flayed her body and bagged it. They put some of the body parts in their fridge once they were finished with that. Chan woke the girl up and put a container of intestines in front of her face to laugh. The head was put into a big pot to try and boil or cook the flesh off of the skull. And Xing Cho grabbed the girl and told her to come look at what was in the pot. He told her to pretend you're watching television because she was hesitant at first to look at it. When she eventually did, she was quoted as saying it looked like something you'd see in a film. Eventually, they got bored.
What type of films they watch?
I don't fucking know. It's gross, and I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. I'm gonna apologize profusely for how gross this is, but I feel like I need to explain the gravity of the situation and just how disgusting these people are.
It makes you so freaking mad that you just want to freaking go punch somebody.
Yeah. It gets even worse, the level of disregard these guys have. And they're probably higher the entire time, so it makes perfect sense. They're psychopathic, they're triad members, which means they don't care, and they're high. They eventually got bored of what they were doing and got hungry. So right next to the pot where Fawn's head is being cooked down, they have a pot of boiling noodles. And I heard it was a spoon, I heard it was chopsticks, but apparently they were stirring the noodles and the cooked head parts with the same spoon/chopsticks. That's how much they just did not care.
Yeah, and when I read that, I actually wanted to go throw up.
Oh, yeah, I want to. I want to very much. That is the nastiest. I don't want head cheese in my noodles, guys. That's fucking gross. Once everything was cooked down, hours later, they dumped out the cooked down meaty bits, and didn't know what to do with the skull. So what they decided to do was cut open a Hello Kitty mermaid plush, put the skull in there, and sew it back up. That's what they did with her body.
And yeah, and I've seen pictures of the mermaid, the Hello Kitty mermaid toy, and it does not look very...
It's in the thumbnail.
Yeah, it's in the thumbnail, but it's like, if you look at it, it's like, this is dirty, dingy, and it looks like something out of a horror movie.
Well, it's in a drunk house.
Yeah.
So, it's not surprising. It's a Hello Kitty mermaid doll. Yeah. Or plush toy. And they would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for a girl by the name of Melody, or Ah Feng, who decided to walk into the Tsim Sa Shui, or Sha Sui, or Yao Mai Tai police station in Hong Kong, and say that she was being haunted by a woman's ghost. She stated that the woman had been bound by electrical wire and tortured to death. Hey, chat. Do you want to take a guess at who this girl is? Do you want to take a guess at who Melody / Ah Feng is? That's not actually her name, by the way. That's the cover names that they've given this person. Do you want to take a guess at who it was?
Come on, Spectre. Take a guess.
Correct, Spectre. It's the girlfriend. The girlfriend walked into... 13-year-old, now 14-year-old, walked into the police station and told the police she's being haunted by a woman who was tortured to death. And at first, they did not believe her. They did not believe her at all. But when she started telling them the gory details of what had happened and her involvement, they believed very well that this was something that was legitimately happening. And she legitimately thought that she was being haunted. I think part of it is because of drugs, but a part of it is because of the culture. A lot of cultures are very superstitious, and I think that's part of what played into this. Her guilt was fueled by superstition, and she came clean.
And the fact that she's just a preteen, too. Your mind is still developing.
It's part of it.
So...
But on May 24th, she took the cops to the apartment, and they did not find very much because a lot of it had been disposed of. They found the skull in the Hello Kitty doll. They found a tooth, and they found rotted internal organs in a plastic bag in the refrigerator. After what they found, they arrested everybody. Chan was arrested pretty much within days while he was with his wife and child at an apartment in Block 72 Mao Wai Road in the Shek Ning section of Shek Lei Estate. Wai Lun tried to flee. He fled at first, but it was eventually picked up in mainland China on the 14th of February in the year 2000. Xing Cho was arrested, but I tried, but I couldn't find exactly how he was arrested or when. Melody, and this is, or Ah Feng, the one that made her eat poo from a box, received immunity in exchange for her testimony in court, partially because of her age. I don't agree with that.
Nor do I.
I think that she should have rotted. If anything, she should have gotten a lighter sentence. Maybe, for cooperating. But I think she should have served time. I think she should have served hard time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I have to point out something because it will explain a lot of things. The reason why Wai Lun would have just kind of ran to mainland China isn't because there's a lot of places to hide there. It's because of this old thing that the frickin' criminals in Hong Kong used to do, commit crimes and then go to mainland China because it was different jurisdictions due to Hong Kong being a British colony. But afterwards, it was all China.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he was found very fast, because he was an idiot and decided, wow, I'm going to go to mainland China. They can't arrest me.
Yep.
No, they can.
Yep. Initially, they all denied the murder, but they did admit that they prevented her from receiving a lawful burial, which in Hong Kong is a criminal charge. Bad. Desecration of the body of a body is extremely frowned upon in a lot of cultures, especially Eastern cultures like the Japanese, Chinese. A lot of Asian cultures do not like that shit at all.
I remember right in China for a while it was actually a death penalty crime.
Yep. It isn't in this case here. It was a life sentence. All of them were taken to trial, and the trial lasted for 6 weeks in total. Chan and Wai Lun pled guilty to false imprisonment, which Xing Cho said, I'm not guilty to that. The entirety of the trial, they really didn't give any defense. They just pointed fingers at each other. And eventually they were convicted on the 7th of December in 2000. All of them were convicted of manslaughter, which in the U.S. is considered third-degree murder.
Yep.
Murder is in the U.S. is defined in 3 categories based upon the circumstances of the murder. First-degree murder is you have to have mens rea and what's the other thing? Is it mens rea? I might be mixing up my terminology, but you need to have intent, and the crime itself. Obviously, there's an intent behind it, meaning that you planned it. Second degree murder is something that would be considered like a crime of passion, like you just got angry because you caught your wife in bed with another man and you decided to kill them. That's considered second degree murder. Third degree murder is negligence or manslaughter, meaning that you had no intention of murdering somebody, but because you were just purely stupid or negligent, somebody died. That's manslaughter. I don't agree with this in this case, but they considered it manslaughter for this because there were no remains. They were so thoroughly decomposed, they could not determine whether she died. They intended to kill her, or if she died from her just the totality of her injuries. They couldn't determine there was an intent to kill her, but they did determine she died as the result of the abuse that she'd endured. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that sitting in the passenger side when a driver runs somebody over, I don't think is correct. Third degree murder is more like a parent isn't paying attention to their kids and just like blatantly doesn't do it, like their kid goes and drowns in a tub and they're not paying attention, they just don't care, they're not watching the kid. That would be considered manslaughter or negligent homicide.
We're talking about the Hello Kitty murder.
Yeah, we're talking about the Hello Kitty murder, and I would not suggest you watch the rest of this or what we talked about previously. We've gotten through the nasty, but don't watch the VOD, Minxie. I don't suggest it. You would just get angry and disgusted, and yeah.
Inspector, it doesn't make sense for manslaughter because there have been trials even in Hong Kong and China where just because there's no body doesn't mean that it's not first degree or second degree murder. There have been cases that people have been found guilty of first degree murder without a body.
Yeah. It just depends on, I guess it depends on the jury and those that are dealing with the case. Or a really good case. Please don't Minxie. It's disgusting. There's a reason why there's a pinned comment saying that if you're squeamish, don't listen. You remember that YouTuber couple that thought it would be funny to use a high caliber bullet weapon to shoot through a phone book? Like, the boyfriend was holding a phone book, and as like a video idea, she would shoot the phone book. That's negligent homicide. There was no intent to kill the person. They were just fucking stupid.
And for another example, for second-degree murder, if you remember, there was a Russian YouTuber who, because he was getting a lot of money if he beat up his girlfriend from the stream, locked her outside in the middle of winter, and she ended up dying. He didn't plan on it, but he didn't stop it.
I wouldn't say that's second degree. I'd say that's negligent homicide.
Well, I would say second because he knew how violent it would be. Because
I don't know about that.
Violence of it.
But I don't know if I agree with that, but that's my criminal justice degree coming into play. But that's anyways, I wanted to define what I mean by what manslaughter would usually mean in the context of an American court of law. They were convicted of manslaughter once again because they didn't have any remains. They were so decomposed that they couldn't determine whether or not they intended to kill her or if she just died as a result of the massive amount of abuse she endured for that entire month she had been kidnapped by them. They were all sentenced to life in prison with the possibility for parole after 20 years by Justice Peter Nguyen, who stated, "Never in Hong Kong in recent years has a court heard of such cruelty, depravity, callousness, brutality, violence, and viciousness." And I agree. All three men were evaluated after their trial, and psychiatrists found that they were completely remorseless for what they had done. They didn't care. Whatsoever. There is some stuff that happened after this that I wanted to talk about, and this will basically round out the stream, unless Nox has other things he wants to add.
Not right now. You've been doing really good with the pronunciations of Chinese names, though.
Shut the fuck up.
No,
Fuck
you
you.
have been. I'm giving you a
Fuck you,
compliment.
bro. Fuck you, bro.
Why are you like that? It's like I give you a compliment, you're like, stop it. Stop liking me.
Yeah, fuck you. Fawn's remains were kept by forensic pathologists in Kowloon Public Mortuary until all of the appeal processes had been had run their course for the prisoners, because that was the only evidence they had that this stuff had even happened. All they had was the testimony of Meli Yafeng and the remaining body parts that they were able to find. Once that was completed, her remains were released to her birth family on the 26th of March in 2004. So they were kept for over like 5 or 6 years, because keep in mind, they were arrested in 1999, and her remains weren't released until 2004. So that was like 5 years they had kept her almost 5 years they kept her body parts. The crime scene itself, the apartment, became absolutely abandoned after this whole situation went public. Nobody wanted to rent it. Nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody even wanted to rent any of the houses in the complex after this happened. It got to the point. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I heard the reason why now this is just apocryphal, but I heard the reason why is because they thought the place was haunted.
It's part of it. It's just very bad publicity to be living. Nobody wants to live in a house where a torture and murder happened. Something that violent. Nobody wants to live there after that. Part of it is the bad juju too. Uh, Eventually, the building was bought and demolished in 2012. And the people who bought the complex and the property rebuilt it as a hotel named Sorvit in 2016. Along with this, 3 Buddha portraits are placed in the hotel as a memorial to what had happened and to Fawn. Because nobody liked what had happened to her. Nobody. As far as the criminals, Chan and Wailun have never been released and are currently still serving their sentences in Stanley Prison. As for Shing Cho, this fucker. This fucker. Sorry, I got a little bit choked up. He was able to somehow get his life sentence turned to 18 years upon appeal and was released in April 2014. He was only out for about 8 years before he was arrested once again in August of 2022 when he was sentenced to 12 months in jail for sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl. So when I said multiple of these guys were nasty motherfuckers, I was not kidding. And that...
12 months?
12 months.
Way too early to be
I
released
agree.
for sexually assaulting.
I agree. I agree, which means he would be out in August of this year. If that is not extended.
So who wants to go to Hong Kong and find him?
Nox, no, we do not endorse. We do not endorse.
In Minecraft.
In Roblox, yes. Disavow. But that is that's the Hello Kitty murder. And when I say this makes me mad, and this makes my stomach hurt, and I have to do a stream in like maybe another hour or so to try and decompress, I hope you understand now why I wasn't kidding and why I said those things. Because I researched this on Wednesday, and I sat with this the last 4 days, ruminating over how gross this entire thing is. It's fucking disgusting. The shit that these men and this child, I would say, fuck the child, because she was just as bad, did to this poor woman. They orphaned a 1-year-old baby for the most part, because the dad is a deadbeat on his own, in his own right. That poor kid, without his mother, probably, I can't imagine how that boy would feel knowing what happened to his mom.
And then all of this over 4,000 Hong Kong dollars, too.
Which is like, I think is like chump change for us if he were translated to. Hold on, I'm curious.
It might actually make you a little bit more mad, because if I remember right, it's a lot less.
Oh, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna look it up. $510.
Yep.
USD. She was murdered, kidnapped, tortured for an entire month, murdered, and her body desecrated for just over $500 US. Let that sink in.
The one thing that I can tell you is that Chan, whatever his name is, God, he's not even worth my fucking thought process when it comes to his name, thought he was a big shot.
Yep.
And really, he was just a tiny man with a tiny dick.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I tried to keep quiet to let you go through it, but there was sometimes I did have to add some things. But the reason why I decided not to cover this is because every time that I thought about this dude, I kept thinking, how fucking petty and shallow do you have to be to think that 509 US dollars, 4,000 Hong Kong dollars is worth that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no words.
Yeah.
And I told you, Spectre, you were not ready for this.
Your body wasn't ready. And I'm gonna play something to try and bring some levity in here.
But really quickly, hi, Cat.
Yeah, hi, Cat. This is what I hope. Unless you're watching the stream, you probably won't hear this, Nox. But this is what I hope those men and that girl Melody Afong are doing right now. Cry, motherfuckers. Cry me a river. I hope you suffer for the rest of your lives. Your miserable, miserable lives. Cry fucking harder. And that...
Sorry, I turned on the stream and heard that, and I'm like, I thought you were gonna play.
I'm gonna play it again for good measure.
Didn't I do it for you? And I'm like, really?
Playing it for good measure. Because it's funny. Cry harder, bitches. Cry harder. Suffer. Like you made her suffer. Anyway. That's everything. That's everything that has to do with the Hello Kitty murder. And it's disgusting. And in like 30 minutes to an hour, I'm coming back on to do alien isolation things because I need to decompress. I need to do something else to get my mind off of how gross that whole thing is.
I'm going to need a day to decompress.
Yeah. Well, at least you never have to touch it again.
Yeah.
It's
actually
done.
Glad about that.
Yeah, we're done. We're done with this shit.
And because I did make a bad joke and that was in poor taste and I'm threatened to be canceled, here's my apology. I apologize. I am going to work on myself.
Okay. Okay, Logan Paul. But anyways, guys, keep an eye out for the next stream. I'm gonna be doing a lot of stuff. Coming up, I'm gonna be doing a hell of a lot of stuff on streaming. I've got obviously the alien streams. I'm trying to finish that campaign, that sweaty campaign. And then I'm going to be doing WWE 2K23. I'm gonna make King Fuckboy as a wrestler, a very heely, dastardly wrestler, and I'm gonna play the storyline, the My Universe campaign, and we can have fun with that once I'm done with that. Next weekend I'm gonna be doing more cringy shit with Dark Harvest to try and get that done. And then on Sunday is Cards Against Humanity. Again. At noon on the 19th is more Cards Against Humanity. All the peepo and all the fun. And the following weekend, again, we're going to do Dark Harvest, but on the Saturday, I'm going to rank my favorite Pokemon. We already know the end result. We know what my favorite Pokemon of all time is. That's a given. But we get to see what my favorite of each generation, of each type, is going to be. Correct, Spectre. Houndoom's going to be the favorite Pokemon, period. We know the end game. It's what's going to happen.
And hopefully Minxie is going to be there for Cards Against Humanity to knock me off my perch when it comes to memes.
Well, she said she hasn't confirmed her that she's going to be there or not. So we'll find out. She has to tell me if she's going to be there or not. She said maybe. But I know that you're going to be there. I know that who else is going to be there for that? I have it written down somewhere. Squatchin will be there. Empress will be here. Chen will be there. I don't know about Kat. Kat hasn't gotten back to me either. But yeah, that's going to be fun. We'll see you then. It'll be great. And wow. We know what the deal is. Get the merch. Get the Sweet Nightmare merch. It's awesome. I have the shirt. It's amazing. Kat's great. She did good art. Go get the Sweet Nightmare shirt. And I will see you in the next one. Sweet nightmares.
Bite me one time. Bite me twice. Oh, that's rather nice. Frankenstein, freaks and grudge. Scream out loud, you're out of luck. Crime so beastly, can't get enough. Ooh, it's all side. Psychotic love. I start to turn when all the streets are moving. I suck 'em dry and rip off all the skin bits. 'Cause freaky horror films, I'll always be a fan. From Nosferatu right up to Train to Busan. And what a beautiful werewolf queen we have inside it. To slice a path of hell with a foul death beside it. Spooky sounds, blood and brains, hunted down by the insane. Crime so beastly, can't get enough. Ooh, it's all side. Psychotic love.